Today I'll share the exact testing strategy I use for Facebook ads. And I'll be honest, a lot of what I see on YouTube is either outdated or simply incorrect advice. And that's not an opinion, that is simply people are demonstrating strategies which don't make sense with how Facebook's tech is actually designed. So I have 3 pieces of advice for you. Don't listen to anyone who's saying they have some new campaign setup or sequencing hack. Forget trying to find some miracle audience that's going to make you millions. And certainly don't listen to anyone who's telling you you should create some ABO campaign with lots of different $5 and $10 ad sets within it to test. To improve your Facebook ads, you need to be continuously improving your creatives and your landing pages. And the best method I've found of doing that is the 3-2-2 method by a guy called Charlie Tee. So before I demonstrate how you set up your tests and what you should be doing, let's look at the overall strategy. So if you take a look at this slide, you can see how we're going to set up the campaign. You're always going to run with a CBO campaign. And within that, you'll continuously have one ad set containing your top post IDs from your test ad sets. And then at any one point, you're always going to have 2 live tests running using dynamic creative ads. So ad set 1, top post IDs, that's our evergreen ad set. And then ad set 2 and 3 are going to be dynamic creative ads, okay? And within those ads, it's going to be 3 creative versions. So you'd either have 3 images or you'd have 3 videos. You would have 2 copy variants and you would have 2 headlines plus a call to action. Sometimes I will use 2 call to actions depending on how advanced I am in knowing what works for that particular business. So that is what your setup is going to look like. It will make a lot more sense, of course, once we jump into the actual account and I can show you me setting them up. Now, there are some rules that we need to follow when we are using this testing method. The first rule is that each dynamic creative ad set should only contain either videos or only contain images. The reason for that is images and videos behave differently on the platform. So in order to ensure a fair and valid test, you always want to have the same creative type in each of them. So of the 2 different ad sets I have running at any one time, I could have both of them having, for example, videos. So I could have 2 ad sets, all with 3 videos, 6 videos in total. Or I could have one running videos, one running images. So 3 videos in one, 3 images in the other, or the same with images. You know, it doesn't really matter what one is what. Just ensure that any one ad set only has the same type of creative in it, either videos or images. The sizes of those don't matter though, as that's something I'll show you later. The second thing is you want to limit creative variables. You don't want to be testing lots of different things at any one time. You want to ensure that within each ad set, you've taken a creative and you're changing one variable between each of those creatives as far as possible, or you're testing something very, very similar. So for example, if I'm testing one video that is someone speaking about the problems of people that normally have the product, and then I have another video that is just some random cat dancing, those are completely different and it's just a pointless putting them in the same ad set, okay? You want to test something that is very similar. So what I might have is I might have one video where I'm talking about the problems, and then the next video, it's a different presenter talking about those same problems. And then maybe in the third video, I have someone, the first person talking about different problems, like whatever. You want to change only one variable between each video and change very, very little variables so that you understand what is giving you those results. And then the final thing is you want to pair the test element with the top performers from the other elements. So when we talked about having 3 creatives, 2 copy and 2 headlines, that's what I'm referring to when I'm talking about elements. So if I'm going to be testing my creative part, I want to use the top performing copy from the history of the account. I want to use the top performing headlines from the history of the account. Because the thing I'm trying to test is the creatives. I don't want to just give it new creatives, new copy, and new headlines, because none of them have been tested. We want to use what's tried and tested. And again, limit the variables that we are changing. What you can do, if you like though, is you can have 3 new creatives, for example, and you could use one copy that was your top performing, your very best copy in the whole account, and then one new copy. And then the same with headlines. One headline is the very best headline in the whole account, and then one headline is a new headline. But the way I prefer to do it is to test it with top 2 headlines, top 2 copy from the account, and just change one part. And then if I want to test copy, I will take the best creatives I have, best images or videos, and use 2 of them rather than 3. And then I'll maybe triple up the copy, or I'll triple up the headline, depending on what one we're looking at. But generally, you're going to be leading with the creative aspect of your ad. And then what kind of variables can you actually change? So if we took images, first of all, you could maybe change the type of image you're using. So do I present it as a photo? Do I present it as a graphical illustration? Do I use UGC? Do I use, I don't know, text heavy images, whatever? Do I use a product image? You can change the type of image. You can change the text on your image as in what it's saying, or even just the size, change just small variables. Do I change the colors in the image? So maybe I change the color of the text to make it more contrasting, or maybe I change the background color to make it pop out in the feed. Maybe I change a certain element. I could add some reviews logos, or I could add a logo of my brand, like whatever. Maybe I could add some credibility badges. Then I could maybe change it from a square to a portrait image. Does it work better if it's been shown on, story placements or whatever? That's how you change that. So do I choose square? Do I choose portrait? If I look at videos, can I change the thumbnail on the video? Can I change the hook section? What about changing the body section? So keeping the very first start of the video, keeping the thumbnail the same, and just changing the body, keeping this end the same, like just changing certain parts of it, but not the whole video, okay? Can I change the actor in the video? So could I give someone a script, give someone a location, film the exact same video, all that is different is the person presenting the video? Or do I change the location? Do I get someone to present a certain script in their house, then get them to read the same script in their garden? Then do I get them to read the same script in an office, Changing very little things can have a massive impact on how well the actual creative performs. And you can never predict that, which is why it's amazing to put things into Facebook and to test them. And then the final thing, does adding captions to your video make a difference? Or does changing the font of the captions make a difference? Does changing the placement of the captions make a difference? Or the color, whatever, just test different variables, but always limit the amount of variables you're testing to get super scientific about it, so you can pinpoint exactly what is making the difference. And then you can roll that out across different creatives in the future. You can retain these learnings from what you are doing. Okay, so that's all that said. Let's get ahead and jump into Ads Manager and actually set up a theoretical example of this and show you how you would run these tests. Right, so we're inside Ads Manager and we're ready to create the campaign. Now, just one thing to keep in mind before I do it. Obviously, I'm going to create a new campaign in this account to demonstrate it to you. But normally, I would not be creating a new campaign. I would be doing this inside the campaign that already exists in my account. So I just run my accounts with one campaign, and all your testing is done inside that campaign. But also that is the campaign that you scale. There's no separate testing campaigns and scaling campaigns or creating new campaigns in order to do tests. I just do it all inside the one campaign to take advantage of that machine learning that Facebook has. So if you want to understand why I do that and how my accounts are set up, go check out my other videos. I'll leave them in the description. and they explain that process and the account structure. But for now, I just want to say that so you understand you're not creating a new campaign. Or if you are, because you do it another way and you just you don't have confidence in this methodology yet, fine, create a new campaign. Hope you get success from it, and then you can move to just using that one campaign. Okay, so let's jump in and do that now. So I'm going to create my campaign, sales campaign, obviously. And let's just not name it for now. So we're going to change it into Advantage Campaign Budget, which is CBO, and just make sure that the catalog sales is turned off. You're then going to come to your first ad set that is already created, and we're going to call this Creative Test DCO1. Obviously, you would use the naming structure you use. I have quite a comprehensive naming structure, but so you understand what everything is, let's just call it these simple names. So Creative Test 1. The conversion event is definitely not going to be add to cart. So let's get purchase. And I like to set them for the next day at midnight, because you want to get a full day of data. If you start them, during the period of the day, you might not get good results. Okay, so again, I just use broad targeting. Go watch my other videos to understand why. But we don't use any interest targeting. We just keep this section broad, only change the location, the age, and if need be, the gender to fit whatever your customer base is, where they are, okay? But for now, I'm just gonna leave that completely, but don't use any detailed targeting. We wanna test the creatives on broad, because I don't use interest targeting anyway, but even if you do and you're adamant you have to, still test your creatives on broad, because then the interest is not the factor giving you the success. It's the creative. Okay, you can understand what the creative is doing. Okay, how it's performing. So that is that done. That is ad set 1. We just need to make it a dynamic ad set, creative ad set. So click this thing here, dynamic creative, this button. That means you can now only have one ad inside this, and it's a dynamic creative ad. And let's fill it in with some information. So you're going to select your Facebook page, select your account, Instagram account. I uncheck this box, multi-advertiser ads, at this time of recording. That may change. I'm doing tests on it. Sometimes you get a better success having it checked. Other times you don't. For now, I'm going to leave it unchecked. And let's select our images now. So we're going to select 3 images or videos. I already happen to have them in the account. So you would normally just go upload them, pick the ones that you want from your desktop. So I'm going to pick these 3 here. So you can see they're all the same. I'm just testing the one variable that it's a slightly different position that the girl is holding the box in. Okay, so there's my 3 images. That could be my first test. Again, you can keep this on if you want, or you can toggle it off and then look at the performance. But just make sure you know that you have it either toggled on or off. I'm going to toggle it off for now, and then we're going to type our text. So I'm not going to give any copy, but I'm going to say this would be top performing copy 1. And then another text would be a different variant. So top performing copy text 2, headline 1, and then of course, top headline. Make sure it's the top performing one. And top performing headline 2, okay? Your URL. There we go. And your call to action, okay? So I sometimes will add 2 call to actions, shop now, learn more, to test them. But if you've been doing it a long time and you know, for example, shop now just works best for you, or you've used that the whole time in your account, you can just keep 1 checked. And then of course, select your domain, your UTMs if you use them. And that is that set up. So what you could do, like I was saying before, this could be new copy. And this could be new creative as well. So you could just have top performing copy 1 and top performing headline 1. So the very best top copy and headline in the account, and then just have one new copy and variant so that you're also testing images as well as new copy, but you still have that consistent variable of something that already is tried and tested. That is up to you. Like I said earlier, I like to just use 2 top performers, because quite often what will happen is I will find things that do well, but they do well on the second best copy or headline of the account, and they beat what's currently working with the top copy or headline. Okay, so that is that set up. That is your first one. You would then duplicate that, and this is going to be the second test, and we're going to test something else. So let's come down to the ad, and let's remove these images. But we're keeping the exact same text, the exact same headlines, the exact same call to actions. All we're doing is we're changing another creative. And again, it's the same creative. I'm just changing one variable of, like, one slight variable. So here it's a bit more zoomed in. Here it is in a different location. Okay, these are not the greatest creatives. They're not very impressive. It's just something that's easy to show you. Okay, so the main thing is the structure. You do whatever you want to do with your own creatives. So that is that one set up. Now, the final thing we need to do is we need to create our winners campaign. Obviously, the first time you do this, you'd be creating it, but normally you wouldn't have to create it because it would already exist. You would just be creating new test dynamic creatives. So let's create that winners one for now. In fact, let me do it this way so I don't confuse people. Okay, so I've created that new one. Let's just make sure it's not dynamic. Perfect. And that will be winners or top post IDs. Okay. And that's not a current creative. Sorry, that's not a dynamic creative ad set. So that is checked off. And that means we can have multiple ads in it. So that's not a dynamic creative ad set because we can have multiple ads. And that is that. Okay, so that is essentially how you would set this up. I'm going to delete these ads though. And because what you would do, you wouldn't have any ads in that at the moment because we don't have any winners. You would simply just publish that campaign, okay? Or publish that campaign, and your tests would launch. And then you would run that for 3 days until you got some data back. So let's now look at an example of one that's already running so that you can see what you would do next. So let me just delete this. And here we have one that is already set up. So ignore that this is turned off at the moment. I'm just doing some things, but here you can see that we have 2 dynamic creative tests running, and I've scheduled 2 more for the future. But at any one point, you're always going to have 2 dynamic creative tests running, and you're going to take the winners of those dynamic creative tests and put them into your winners or your top performing post ID campaign. However, if a dynamic creative is still performing, don't turn it off. Never turn anything off that is working. The idea is you'll take the best variant from the dynamic creative, put it into your winners campaign, and at some point you're hoping that the performance on the dynamic aspect is going to die out because this is the top creative combination from the dynamic creative ad set. So you hope that it beats the dynamic creative ad set and ends up pulling the spend and taking over. But if it doesn't, if this is still performing, just leave it running and you can start 2 more dynamic creative ad set tests. So you always want to have 2 testing at any one time. But if you've got some that are still working, you can just leave them on. So you might end up with more than 3 ad sets live. You might have 5. But really, it's just 2 that are new. I'm just leaving old ones on because they are performing until the point they die out. So anyway, That said, let's do what we would do. So we now have run, we've got some results we like. You can see this one here has 1.45x ROAS, £17 cost per purchase. That is good for me, that's performing. What I want to do is now take the top performer and put it into the winners campaign. So I'm going to come into this, I'm going to filter by, I'm going to select it first of all, and I'm going to filter by, let me refresh. Sometimes you need to refresh if it's not allowing you to do this. So breakdown, okay, there we go. By dynamic creative element, we're going to filter by image and slideshow or video, whatever is appearing. And look at the one that is getting the most spend and getting the performance. So you can see here, there's 2 images in this one. In this, what I was testing was whether a portrait image was better or a square image. You can see that this one's performing best, is getting the spend. This is a square image, okay? So what we want to do is we want to note down that this one here, image square, is the top performer, not image PRT portrait, okay? So that's the top performing creative part. Make a note of that. Then you're going to come along and filter the text element. Okay, what's getting the most spend? What is getting the best performance? So the most spend is going to this one, and it's getting the best cost per purchase and ROAS. So make a note of that text. Okay, and then finally, we're going to look at the headline. And you can see both headlines are doing well. This one is doing better, but a lower spend. And this one's getting more spend. So even though something's getting less spend, but better results, doesn't mean it is the better creative. The better creative is the one that is more scalable. So the one that is spending more. But in this situation, I would probably take both of these and put them into the winners campaign, because this one still works. It's just, it's not going to spend very much money. So it still has a place, but it's not something I can scale off of. I'm just going to have it picking up low hanging fruit, or picking up whoever it is picking up with its level of spend. So that is that. What you then are going to do is click on the actual ad, come to preview, and Facebook post with comments. So let me show you that again, because I think I did it a bit too quickly. So preview, share on the top right hand side, and then Facebook post with comments. And here you will see your top combinations. So you basically want to come and find those top combinations. What had the top text, the top creative, and the top headline, or the CTA if you're doing that as well, actually. And you can see the other ones will be below. I don't want to show you this, but that's what you would do. And then what you're going to do is you're going to click on the date, which will bring you to another version. Just click on the date again. And you can see that now we just have this one creative displayed, and the top URL has changed. What you want to come and do is take this after the equal sign, pfbid 0f, blah, 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 all the way up to the last, what would you call it? Last letter or number before the and sign here. Okay, so don't take the and sign. Don't take anything after the and sign. Take everything up to this. Hit Control C to copy. And then come back to your Ads Manager. You can come and remove this breakdown campaign. So it's done it for me by doing that. Come into your winners or top post IDs campaign. You can see all the individual campaigns here. And I'm going to duplicate any one of these. I'm going to come down to the enter post ID section. I'm going to hit Control V to post that URL string I just copied. Hit submit, and look what's happened. It's now taken that text, creative, headline, call to action, and social proof ad, and put it into that other campaign. Okay, so that's me taking this and put it here. I would then hit publish, and that's you done. Okay, so that would obviously be on, and you would just run with that. And then if this was still performing, like I said, leave it on, and now set up another test. So I'm going to duplicate that, and maybe I'm going to test something else. Maybe that now that I've found a winning copy and headline combination, I will take that headline. You know how you had the other one where you could see that both headlines were doing well? Well, maybe now I keep both headlines and I change the lowest performing copy variant and try something different. Okay, so hopefully that explains it. Maybe it got a bit confusing at the end, but that is the process you want to follow over a long-term basis for testing your campaigns. Go with that structure where you have the winning individual post ID ad set, 2 dynamic creative testing ad sets beneath it, and just continuously test new things, testing only limited variables. Okay, so thanks for watching. Hope you've enjoyed it. If you have found value from it, definitely go and watch the other videos in the description. If anything's confusing or anything else you want to see, leave a comment. I'll do more videos on them. But for now, thanks for watching and see you in another video very, very soon.